First at 9 this Saturday, the 29th of November 2025. Winds of death. Winds of Cyclone Ditwa claim 159 Sri Lankan lives. Over 200 missing. President declares a public emergency. Torrents and tears. Amatale flood control dam about to overflow, warns the SLLDC. Residents ordered to evacuate. Water levels in Colombo continue to rise. Friends indeed. 2 more helicopters deployed by the Indian Navy to aid rescue efforts in Sri Lanka. The US vows to donate $2 million. The toxic storm. Cyclone Ditwa moves on from Sri Lanka to India's Tamil Nadu. The Met predicts the rains to ease.
Kalin baby so rupiyal 90කට. Kalin baby podi හැමෝටමයි.
This is Derana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to First at 9 on the Derana News channel. I'm Aditya Adrisinghe joining you live with the latest in Sri Lanka and around the world, brought to you by the only Sri Lankan media network to rise to the pinnacle across all media platforms, recognized as the best by every survey and beloved by the people. On your top story tonight, as Cyclone Ditwa wreaked havoc across Sri Lanka, the Disaster Management Centre claims that over 150 fatalities have been reported so far, while another 203 individuals remain unaccounted for. Given the persisting weather patterns, the President declared a state of public emergency to safeguard the continuity of essential supplies and services amid the nationwide emergency condition.
Adverse weather caused by Cyclone Ditwa has triggered severe flooding and landslides across Sri Lanka, resulting in numerous fatalities and missing persons, with Kandy and Badula districts among the worst affected. A major landslide near the 87th mile post on Colombo-Kandy main road has brought traffic to a complete standstill, while multiple other access routes to Kandy remain blocked. Correspondents report that communication links have been disrupted due to widespread power failures, making coordination of rescue efforts increasingly difficult. In Gavarammana on Valimara Nuvareliya main road, a group of Road Development Authority employees clearing a collapsed mound of earth were caught in an accident where a dam above the site collapsed along with a tree. One employee was rescued, but a lorry driver remains missing. Mobile phone footage captured by a bystander documented the incident. Landslides have also been reported at multiple locations along Badulla Mahiyangana Road, where police and the Tri-Forces are jointly clearing debris. Deputy Minister of Defence Aruna Jayasekara visited Valimara Kappatipola to monitor operations.
The Badulla district suffered extensive devastation as a result of the persistent adverse weather conditions. Tragically, 30 fatalities have been reported from the area. Authorities have placed special focus on several high-risk regions including Nuvareliya, Walapane and Gampala. Preparations are currently underway to airdrop army personnel and commando units to the Walapane region. In these districts, landslides now pose an even greater threat to public safety than the severe flooding itself.
The Rambuk Ala area in Alawatugoda in Matale was submerged early this morning. Around 800 fatalities reside in this village and a significant number of people are reportedly missing. Around 800 families reside in this village and a significant number of people are reported missing. However, relief teams have not yet been able to access the affected area. Meanwhile, in Ambalakanda in Aranayaka, approximately 120 individuals, including 20 minors, remain trapped due to flooding. The situation is further complicated by a power outage in the area that has persisted for 2 days. 2 individuals are currently reported missing and flooding remains at critical levels. In the meantime, images of a landslide that occurred at Maspanna bus stop in Uva Paranagama have been released to media. Meanwhile, in Kothmale, police report that approximately 14 people have died as a result of a landslide in the Rambodagama area. A large number of residents have been affected and search operations are ongoing to locate missing individuals. In Kurunagala district, earlier this morning, a landslide at Pudukkulama completely destroyed 4 houses. Local residents report that 10 to 15 people who were inside the homes are now missing. Pudukkulama reservoir was also affected as it was filled by rocks and soil from the landslide. 3 other landslides are reported from Kurunagala district. District Secretary Chandana Disanayaka confirms that 9 people have died and 24 others remain missing due to landslides in Indulgoda, Ibbagamu and Palliyadda. Yesterday morning, a passenger bus travelling along Kalawaya, carrying approximately 67 passengers including a foreign national, was swept away by flash floods caused by heavy rains. The passengers were directed to seek refuge on the roof of a nearby house as floodwaters engulfed the bus. Despite multiple failed rescue efforts launched by the Triforces, the Navy later last night launched a coordinated operation using multiple boats, during which all 67 persons were safely rescued. 1 passenger, however, remains in critical condition. President Andro Disanayaka, meanwhile, monitored the rescue live from Air Force headquarters. Meanwhile, the Sri Lanka Air Force continued helicopter-based rescue operations for flood-affected individuals over the past 2 days. This morning, an Mi-17 helicopter rescued 33 people trapped by flooding in Rajangane and Giribhavar. Additionally, a Bell 212 helicopter evacuated 4 people, including a monk, from flood-affected areas in Nikavarati to safe locations. 3 women trapped near Malwatoe railway crossing bridge in Anuradhapura were also rescued by the Air Force today. A Bell 412 helicopter from the Ratmalana camp safely evacuated a person stranded in Dompe, while a woman trapped in Madavachi was rescued yesterday. Around 20 people trapped near Mahailuppalama reservoir were rescued this morning in a joint operation by Ipalogama Pradeshya Sabha and the army. A child who had approached the spillage from Palukadavala reservoir in Galgamua, who had been swept away by the floodwaters, was rescued by local residents. Meanwhile, a plane carrying army personnel from Horana departed this afternoon to assist in the rescue of people displaced by the floods.
The military is still conducting operations to rescue those affected by the inclement weather. 12,705 army troops have been deployed to Kandy, Mathule, Nuwara, Badulla, Hambantota and Munragala districts, falling under the jurisdiction of the Security Forces Headquarters Central. 1,083 people have been rescued by those troops. Meanwhile, Security Forces Headquarters East covers Polonnaruwa, Ampara, Batiklu and Trincomalee. 3,538 troops have been deployed to those districts. 309 affected individuals have been rescued by those troops. Security Forces Headquarters West covers many districts within the Western Province. The districts covered include Colombo, Gampaha, Kalutara, Gaul, Ratnapura, Matara, Kegaul, Puttalam and Kurunagala. 2,966 troops were deployed to those districts. 373 individuals were saved by those troops. The Vaunia Security Forces Headquarters cover Mulativ, Vaunia, Mena and Anuradhapura. 2,835 troops were deployed to those districts. 530 people were rescued from the jaws of danger in these districts. Security Forces Headquarters Jaffna covers the Jaffna and Kilinochchi districts. 2,112 troops were deployed to rescue 158 civilians in the districts of Jaffna and Kilinochchi. In total, 24,156 army troops rescued 2,453 civilians across Sri Lanka. The Sri Lanka Army has so far safely relocated 5,400 civilians.
මේ වෙන විට 5,400ක් ශ්‍රී ලංකා යුද හමුදාව මගින් මේ වෙනට ආරක්ෂක ස්ථානවලට මුදවාගෙන තියෙනවා.
According to a report issued by the Disaster Management Centre as of 6 p.m. today, the number of fatalities has increased to 153 with another 191 persons reportedly missing. Badulla and Kandy districts record the most fatalities with 52 deaths reported in each district. 774,724 people belonging to 217,263 families have been affected across all 25 districts, with 100,898 people currently being housed at 798 safety centres. Rescue operations by the Triforces, police and relief teams are ongoing, with authorities urging residents in high-risk areas to evacuate immediately. In light of the persisting disaster situation, President Anura Dissanayake issued an extraordinary gazette declaring a state of public emergency across the country. The declaration has been made to ensure public safety, maintain the normal functioning of the country, and safeguard the continuity of essential supplies and services necessary for public life.
ඔබේ සම හඳුනාගෙන ඖෂධීය ශාකසාරමය forever face wash එකක් භාවිතා කරන්න.
අප වෙනුවෙන් කැපවූ ලංකාවේ අපේ අංක 1 ජාලය ඩයලොග්. දවටනේ නියම මිල සඳහන් ස්විස්ටෙක් නිෂ්පාදන මිලදී ගන්න. ස්විස්ටෙක් ගන්න ඕන හොඳම තීරණය.
Meanwhile, severe flooding continues to wreak havoc across Sri Lanka as heavy rainfall and overflowing reservoirs submerge large areas, forcing thousands of people to evacuate to safer locations. Flooding from the overflowing Casualties River continues to affect several localities, including Hangwella, Kaduwela, Kolonnava and other areas surrounding Colombo.
Many areas across the country continue to face severe flooding as reservoirs continue to release excess water amid the prevailing heavy rainfall. During the past 24 hours, the highest rainfall was recorded in Nillambe Kandy at 431 millimeters, while several other locations in Kurunegala and Nuwara Eliya also received significant rainfall. Several villages in Tissa Maharama remain submerged following the release of water from Lunugambehera Reservoir into Kirindigoya. Meanwhile, the irrigation department states that overflowing of Mahawaya has caused severe flooding in Badalgama and Giriulla. Meanwhile, Abimansala compound in Pangolla Ibbagamuwa is flooded due to the overflowing of Kusputuoya. According to other Derana reporter, disabled veterans housed at the affected location were safely evacuated to Pangolla Army Camp. Meanwhile, the water level of Kandalama Reservoir rose rapidly. Heavy rains also caused a breach in the embankment of Galloya at Nainakadu Samanture, flooding nearby paddy fields. The breach has extended to the section where restoration work is currently underway. In addition, a protective embankment at the spillway of Iranabadu Reservoir collapsed today. The Department of Irrigation announces that the flood situation in several areas in the lower Mahavali River basin will increase to a severe flood level due to heavy rains in the catchment areas of the river. The department urges people in Dimulagala, Tamankaduwa, Valikanda, Lankapura, Madirigiriya, Seruvila, Kantale, Kinya and Muttur to evacuate as soon as possible. Meanwhile, Polonnaruwa Batiklo main road is flooded near Kaduruvela town due to the overflowing of river Mahavali. As the downpours persist, water levels in major rivers have risen sharply. Several areas of Anuradhapura district are submerged due to the overflowing of Malwatu Oya. Chilokuru-Nagala road is flooded in the Thoragalla area of Panduasnuara due to the overflowing of Dadru Oya, submerging around 100 houses. Warnings issued by the irrigation department for areas along River Kalani remain in place. Many low-lying areas around the river are inundated, forcing residents to evacuate to safer locations. According to Hanwella water gauge, the water level of River Kalani has crossed the 10-meter mark by this afternoon, causing a major flood situation. Flooding due to the overflowing of River Kalani continues to affect a number of localities including Hangwella, Kohilavatta, Sedavatta, Kaduwala, Kolonnava, Vallampitiya, Artigala and several areas surrounding Colombo. Many parts of the Sitavaka Divisional Secretariat Division are also inundated. Ambatale is also submerged and water levels at Ambatale Water Treatment Plant have increased. Colombo District Secretary Prasanna Ginige commented on the prevailing adverse weather.
53,785 individuals of 36,207 families across 376 Gram Niladhari divisions are affected. 91 relief centers have been established today. 14,642 individuals are currently housed at those locations. Unfortunately, one fatality was reported and one person is still missing. 2 people were injured and 4 houses were completely destroyed by collapsed trees. Additionally, 873 houses have been partially damaged. The flood situation in Kolonnava, Seethawaka, Kaduwila and the Colombo Divisional Secretariat continues to worsen due to the rising water levels. We urge residents of the Kalaniya River Valley who are living in low-lying areas or between riverbanks to evacuate immediately. Following our requests, many people have evacuated, which has allowed relief efforts to proceed more effectively. However, some individuals remain in their homes, disregarding our warnings. This hinders relief efforts. We request that you cooperate with the authorities and avoid disrupting relief measures.
Meanwhile, Director of Irrigation, Hydrology and Disaster Management, L.S. Surya Bandara, also commented on the current situation in the vicinity of River Kalani.
ඉහළ ද්‍රෝණීය ජලය දැන් පහළට එද්දී අවිස්සාවේල දක්වා පවතින තත්ත්වය යම් අඩුවීමක් තියෙනවා. හැබැයි අවිස්සාවේලෙන් හංවැල්ල දක්වා එද්දී හංවැල්ල මිනුම් මධ්‍යස්ථානයේ මේ වෙන විට ජල මට්ටම තාමත් වැඩි වෙමින් පවතිනවා. ඉදිරියේදී තව ජල මට්ටම වැඩි වීමේ ප්‍රවණතාවයක් තියෙනවා. කිසියම් වැඩිවීමක්.
Issuing a statement, the Sri Lanka Land Development Corporation highlights that there is a risk of River Kalani overflowing at Ambatale Control Dam due to its rising water levels. Those residing along Malambe Kaduwala Main Road and low-lying lands in the vicinity are advised to evacuate and move to safe locations immediately. Meanwhile, access roads to Athurgiriya interchange on the Southern Expressway are currently flooded. Director General of the Road Development Authority, Vimal Khandambi, says many roads and bridges across the country have been severely damaged due to floods and landslides caused by prevailing adverse weather. Simultaneously, many areas within the Attanagalu Oya Basin also experienced intense rainfall. According to Dunamale water gauge, the basin is experiencing a major flood, though conditions are slowly improving. Due to severe flooding, Gampaha city was almost completely submerged. Gampaha District General Hospital also sustained extensive damage. The Yakkala area along Colombo Candy Road is also inundated, prompting authorities to remove a concrete embankment in the middle of the road to facilitate drainage. Meanwhile, the Irrigation Department, issuing a statement earlier today, stated that a major flood situation had developed in the Malliakanda area of Kalavallava, situated alongside River Kuda, a tributary of River Kalu. The department announced later in the afternoon that the situation has further worsened. Measures were taken today to widen the estuary of River Kalu to facilitate the drainage of excess water.
Now, in the immediate aftermath of Cyclone Ditwa, the international community has stepped in with assistance for Sri Lanka. Among the first to respond were India and the United States, dispatching aid and assistance to the worst affected regions.
In the wake of the disaster, an aircraft carrying relief supplies from the Indian government arrived at Bandar Naik International Airport at around 1:45 this morning. The shipment included essential supplies such as hygiene kits for affected families. Additionally, an 80-member Indian rescue team, including 4 female personnel and 4 trained sniffer dogs, arrived this morning and immediately began assisting in flood-affected areas. Meanwhile, Indian External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar, taking to X, revealed that 2 special Indian helicopters with Sri Lankan Air Force personnel aboard were deployed to assist in search and rescue operations in disaster-hit areas as part of Operation Sagar Bandhu. The 2 helicopters are part of the complement on board Indian aircraft carrier INS Vikrant, which arrived at the port of Colombo for International Fleet Review 2025, organised as part of the 75th anniversary celebrations of the Sri Lankan Navy. Additionally, 2 Mi-17V5 helicopters of the Indian Air Force arrived in Sri Lanka this evening to assist with ongoing search and rescue operations. The aircraft carried 22 Indian Air Force personnel along with essential humanitarian assistance and disaster relief supplies intended to strengthen emergency response efforts in the hardest hit regions. In the meantime, the US government too pledged $2 million to assist urgent relief efforts in Sri Lanka. In a post on X, US Ambassador Julie Chong stated that the United States' support reflects its enduring partnership with Sri Lanka and commitment to assist families as they rebuild both now and in the future. Additionally, the United States, together with the World Food Programme, donated 20,000 polysacks used to reinforce embankments and slow floodwaters. Meanwhile, Prime Minister of Pakistan Shehbaz Sharif extended his condolences to the families of those who lost their lives due to the severe floods and landslides in Sri Lanka.
30% discount on Arpico Form and Spring mattresses, available at Arpico Supercenter and Arpico Daily.
Musa Phoenix Nattal Fiesta November 13 සිට 16 දක්වා අනුරාධපුර ස්පොට්නික් ක්‍රීඩා පිටියේදී.
Now, the Department of Meteorology claims that the Ditwa cyclone has moved away from the island, adding that it is expected to make landfall in the Tamil Nadu region tomorrow. The Met Department also forecasts that the prevailing heavy showers across the island may subside as a result of this latest development.
According to Zoom Earth Weather and Radar app, Cyclone Ditwa was observed moving away from Sri Lanka as of early this morning. The Department of Meteorology forecasts prevailing severe weather may begin to ease as a result of this development.
As of this morning, the cyclone was observed at about 80 kilometers northwest of Trincomalee. The system is now moving away from the country, shifting further north through the northwestern part of the island. We expect the cyclone to make landfall on the Tamil Nadu coast by tomorrow. Intermittent showers are expected in the northern, north central, northwestern and central provinces. Compared to yesterday, we anticipate a reduction in heavy rainfall over the southern parts of the island. Island-wide rains are expected to decrease from tomorrow. We expect the direct effects of the cyclone to subside by tomorrow.
However, the Met Department warns that although the direct impact of the cyclone is expected to diminish, rainy conditions may continue due to its indirect influence.
The cyclone's indirect influence over Sri Lanka is expected to decrease by the 30th. Weather conditions across the island are likely to return to normalcy thereafter. We strongly advise residents to avoid returning to their homes immediately after the heavy rain subsides. Please await explicit instructions by the authorities, as collapsed transmission lines and trees have created significant hazards in the wake of the cyclone.
Welcome back. Now, the Road Development Authority says 206 roads across the island have been closed for traffic as numerous inundations and landslides are being reported island-wide. Meanwhile, health officials warn the general public of a potential outbreak of communicable diseases at times of disaster. They went on to note that authorities are closely monitoring the possibility of diseases spreading, including dengue, malaria and COVID-19. However, fortunately, no outbreaks of communicable diseases have been noted in the wake of this inclement weather disaster.
The Ceylon Electricity Board says approximately 25 to 30% of electricity consumers are facing power outages owing to prevailing adverse weather. The CEB adds that it is promptly carrying out operations to restore power to all consumers as soon as possible with a focus on priority areas. However, inclement weather is hindering power restoration operations across the island. Meanwhile, the Road Development Authority asserts that over 206 roads across Sri Lanka have been closed for traffic owing to floods and landslides. The authority notes that steps are being taken to bring all roads back to normalcy as soon as possible. Many water sources and water treatment plants in several districts managed by the National Water Supply and Drainage Board are inundated owing to heavy flooding reported island-wide.
A large number of our facilities have been inundated. Most of our treatment plants are also submerged. Uninterrupted water supply is being provided to all areas within the Western Province. However, warnings have been issued pertaining to rising water levels of River Kalani. Rising water levels of River Kalani may cause disruptions to operations of Ambatale Water Treatment Plant. We are trying our best to control the situation. We request residents of disaster-struck areas in Colombo to use water sparingly.
In the meantime, the National Blood Transfusion Service says complications have arisen pertaining to blood collections at its office in Narayanpeta. Director Dr. Lakshman Edirisinghe urges donors to donate blood as soon as possible at this time of crisis, adding that several blood banks are open to receive donations. In the meantime, the Department of Immigration and Immigration has introduced special visa measures for foreign nationals impacted by the prevailing adverse weather. Accordingly, travellers scheduled to depart on or after 28th of November but delayed due to weather-related flight cancellations or travel disruptions will be exempt from visa extension fees and overstay penalties. Short-term tourist, business and residence visa holders will receive a 7-day grace period to complete visa extension formalities. Meanwhile, during the special live coverage of the prevailing severe weather broadcast on TV Derana and other Derana News channel, special attention was given to the health and safety of the public as well as the spread of communicable diseases.
What can the authorities do to curb atrocious repercussions of the concerns that you highlighted?
Actually, it's not an isolated thing. Therefore, it has to be identified first what are the problems, and then accordingly we have to address all these problems.
What can Sri Lankans do to take adequate precautions amid being safe and secure within this adverse weather?
Most of our healthcare workers in the field level, they are already there. General population should aware about how to prevent those things, especially about children and their early signs of infections like chest infections, and very young people, if they get a chest infection, especially they will have pneumonia very quickly. Now these days actually we were facing with influenza infection all over the country, and that can be further go on into this population.
We saw how the healthcare infrastructure has also been impacted. So what are the authorities doing on that front? Should we be concerned, or have these concerns been alleviated?
At the places where these disruptions occurred, our health teams, usually our field staff attached to the medical officer of health, they are working together with the other rescue teams. They are affected. They have taken immediate actions to transfer all these patients to safer places.
The sad memories of COVID-19 lingers in our memory. It's not something tangible. Is it still a threat given the inclement weather, Doctor?
We are mainly concerning about certain diseases like diarrhea, dysentery, leptospirosis, dengue and filariasis, because they are at a risk of these diseases due to specific nature of the situation. Mainly dysentery, diarrhea, these diseases will spread through food, water, whether they have adequate sanitary facilities, whether they have adequate waste disposal methods. Apart from that, due to floods, there will be water collection and also stagnant water mixed with spillover water, and also some other waste product will lead to leptospirosis. At the same time, the water is stagnant, there's a risk of mosquito breeding places which will spread mainly dengue, and also with time they are at a risk of filariasis as well. When we consider about the upper respiratory tract infections, we are having a strong surveillance systems to monitor the respiratory tract surveillance, and at the same time we are having a laboratory surveillance system where randomly selected samples are checked with upper respiratory viruses, which also include COVID virus. After COVID pandemic, we haven't seen any increase of the risk of COVID virus.
Now, Derana has once again stepped in to support communities affected by severe weather prevailing island-wide. The Derana Dialogue Relief Operation continued today with donations pouring in from across the nation.
Derana, the social responsibility arm of the Derana Media Network, has long been a front-runner in extending relief to vulnerable communities during severe weather-related disasters. Continuing this commitment, the Derana Relief Operation has once again been activated to support those displaced by the severe weather affecting many parts of the island. The joint relief initiative by Derana and Dialogue continued today, with donations steadily pouring in from across the country. Since early this morning, donors have been arriving at Derana headquarters with essential supplies to support ongoing relief efforts.
Myself and some friends, we collected $1,000 Australian dollars and we were able to buy food to be distributed. So we hope the food gets to the right place.
These dry rations and other contributions were subsequently dispatched from Derana headquarters and distributed to families in need.
Dialogue and Derana reached the Kolonnawa Divisional Secretariat today to provide support to our relief efforts. We extend our gratitude and appreciation to them for this initiative.
That's all the news we have for you tonight. Stay safe as the inclement weather leaves Sri Lanka. Have a great night.